Hi, this is Maggie at Full Metal Rock, and today we're talking to Billy Sheehan of the Winery Dogs. Hello, Billy.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for talking to us today. You're currently in San Jose, California.
Yeah, this is our first California show of this leg of the tour, and then from here, I'm not sure where we're going to go. I think we go to Anaheim and then LA. And
Yes, you're in your last week of this U.S. leg. I just have to ask you because you played Halloween night in Denver, and I was just curious as to how Halloween was like with the Winery Dogs.
It was crazy. Kids came dressed up as me and Mike Portnoy and Richie.
Really?
It was funny. The place was jam-packed, too. It was just out of control. And then it was right on the main drag in Denver where all the Halloween partying was going on. So it was a riotous affair. Very nice.
Billy, if we can go back a bit, I just want to talk to you about how you started as a musician. You're one of my favorite bass players of all time. And I wanted to know how your start in music began.
You mean how I started and what got me into music?
Yeah, what got you got into it? Was there family members that are musically inclined?
No, I'm the only musician in the family. My father was what you call a recitationist. He would recite on the side. This is when it wasn't his job, but when he was a young man, he would recite stories, poems, and tell tales, and they were very entertaining. It was before we had the internet, obviously. Storytellers were a significant form of entertainment at one point, and he was good at that. And I remember him telling stories when we were kids. We had heard the story 50 times. We knew what the ending was, but we'd still laugh every time. And it was just entertaining, and it was just interesting to see, that thing happen where somebody does something and draws someone else in, and at the end they laugh about it or they have some response to it as enjoyable, and it was a cool thing. So I wasn't really conscious of it at the time, but I think it was planting the seed for the idea of something being entertaining. And then I grew up kind of in the golden age of television. I remember the beginnings of the Tonight Show and all the late night talk shows and watching people there and comedians. Big fan of comedy. Then, of course, music was everywhere when I was a kid. There weren't what we have now with the Xbox and video and YouTube and computers and all kinds of things that are not music. So everyone was kind of into some kind of music. Everybody was into it. So I was into a lot of stuff, and they played all kinds of things on the radio. And I had older brothers and sisters who listened, and I'd hear what they were listening to, so I'd get a jump ahead of my kids that were my age. I would be listening to stuff that's a little bit ahead of my time, which is kind of nice. My mom was a big fan of Sinatra and Tony Bennett and all the great singers. So there was a lot of quality music around. Then around the corner from me, there was a band, and one of the guys in the band, Joe, he was a friend of my brother's. And he let me pick up his bass one time, and that was the beginning. And from there, I just went on and played and got in bands, got more and more into music, and I'm still working on it.
Well, you've played with a wide variety of musicians, Steve Vai, David Lee Roth, you were in Mr. Big, you've played all over the world. Is there anything that's still on your list of things that you want to try and do?
Well, I've been lucky to have achieved most everything I went after, and that's a great thing. But the bad thing about it is now you have no more goals. So you become a rudderless ship on a windless sea. So for me, my goals have always been very personal. I really want to achieve some things on bass that I can do, that I feel confident that I can do, and they're very internalized and difficult, and so every day I'm working on those. But I would still like to, I would love to play as much or more than I already have. I love performing live. One of the last musicians I wanted to work with, Paco de Lucia, sadly passed away recently. He was a flamenco guitarist. I love that style of music, and he was
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Grand masters. But there are a lot of personal goals, and I'm still going after it. Every day I spend hours, literally, on my bass working. I just tweeted a photo of the holes in my fingers after I get done practicing, and I've tweeted all kinds of stuff and gets all kinds of responses. This thing has like hundreds of thousands of people viewing it, sharing it, and everything. So I think it's good for people to know that a lot of work goes into this. It isn't just a party. So I have a lot of personal goals I still would like to achieve. Maybe something with an orchestral thing, or who knows.
Well, you have a very creative approach when it comes to playing bass, trying different things. You have different playing styles that you use, including on the Winery Dogs Hot Streak album, your two-handed tapping, your right hand three-finger picking. And it amazes me because it does seem like you're always pushing the boundaries of what a bass player can do.
Well, I do that to myself. You see, I'm pushing my own boundary for what I can do, what I'm capable of. And the side benefit is, I hope, it turns into music that people enjoy. But I'm always trying to, when I pick up the bass, the first thing I do is I start playing and find something I can't do, or something I make a mistake on, or something that's out of my range. Then the fire is lit. And then I go, okay, let me figure out a way I can do this. Constantly forcing myself to figure out a way. I hear this string of notes or this particular piece of music and I want to emulate it on bass. There's no way to do it. Well, there's a will, there's a way, so let's figure it out. And I've been fortunate to have been successful in being able to achieve what I wanted to. I'll play a little particular thing and it's sloppy and a mess and I can't really play it, and then I hit it all day, and all the next day, a week later, I own it. And I look, I remember I couldn't even play this before, and I almost got discouraged. Well, here it is. Let that be a lesson to me to not get discouraged and just keep hitting it until it comes. I think it's true with everybody. When I do my clinics and seminars, I always tell everybody, there's nothing I do that you can't do. And a lot of them kind of look at me like, come on. It's true. And it may take you a while. It may take you 10, may take you 4 years. I don't know, but you can do it. There really is nothing, and I've seen bass players of, little tiny hands, of limited musical understanding, or whatever. They pull it off. You work at it hard enough. It's more about your real desire to achieve, I think, than any natural talent. I never thought I had any natural talent at all. I just think real desire to figure out, to troubleshoot, and to figure out how to get it done.
Well, we're so grateful that you have that desire and that personal drive.
Well, it's very kind of you to say. One aspect of exploring things on a musical instrument, the end result is the most important thing, and that is it music now? And will people enjoy listening to it? Or will people be moved or challenged by listening to it or something? Or a lot of musicians, unfortunately, get into chasing their tail, so to speak, where they're coming up all these things, but it's not really applied to any music or songs, or it's never performed on a stage in front of live people. And those are the real end result tests of anything that I do. It's got to be something that I can actually perform in front of people, and they're going to enjoy it, and it will fit within a song without overwhelming a song. And those are the true litmus tests of its value.
Well, I hope that you're feeling the rewards of it, because the reviews that you've been receiving on the tour so far have just been insanely good.
It's crazy.
And
it's insane, I know.
I was just going to say, it must feel really good to get that response from the crowd when you come out.
It really is, and I'm glad, because I'm a fan, and when I really love something, and I go to see it, and it really lives up to my expectations, I'm very happy, and it does change my life. And I went, as a kid, I went to a lot of shows. When I came out, something really changed my life. So for me, it isn't the personal satisfaction of getting a great review. I'm just glad to know there's a room full of people that felt that way, that walked out of it and said, hey, I'm looking at things different now. And I get an email from people, that are, revitalizing. The good reviews we always appreciate, but I think it's an indicator of something more, which is a lot of people had a wonderful night and probably walked out of there with some degree of inspiration. And if that's the case, then mission accomplished.
I think you have been received so well, and all I see across the internet, as soon as you announce a date, it's like, when are you coming to my country? It just seems to be a wave that you're riding. And the Winery Dogs is such a fresh, exciting thing for me to listen to. You and Richie knew each other before, and you and Mike knew each other before. And I know we have to thank Eddie Trunk for, dropping the idea of Richie coming into the project. But I just wondered if Richie and Mike's paths ever crossed prior to the Winery Dogs that you're aware of.
I don't think, I know we were all talking just the other day. I think Mike was at a show Richie was at, but years ago, they figured out Mike was on his birthday at the Barrowlands or something like that, and Richie was there too, but I don't think they ever met, so they didn't know each other prior to the first day we got together at Richie's house and started work on the first songs for the first record. But that's kind of good sometimes too. You start off fresh, a brand new thing, and it's a whole world of discovery.
I played with Mike a lot. I played with Richie a lot, and so I kind of knew him. And bass player, kind of the job sometimes is to connect one thing to another, melodies to time. And so it was kind of a good thing I knew them both, so I had my job figured out, and they were both ready to do their explorations as well.
When you did get together as the Winery Dogs, this sound that you have, this jazz-infused, blues-influenced, funk, groove, just mesh of all the things I love about all different genres of music. Did you have this sort of thing in mind when you started writing, or was this something that evolved as you got together?
Well, it just kind of evolved. We made it a point to not really discuss much about music. And when we first got together, we had a little lunch from our favorite little Mexican taco stand, Paquito Mas, it's called. It's spectacular in L.A. You got to try it. And we just went in, and Mike sat down the drums. I plugged in a little bass amp, and we just went. We never discussed, well, what we should do, what our plan will be, and all that. Never did any of that. We never had a grand scheme or plan or oversight of what we were trying to accomplish. It was kind of like we were three guys, that were just hanging out, like back in high school. And I found out Mike was a drummer and Richie was a guitar player. They found out I was a bass player, and we showed up in somebody's basement and started playing. We didn't really discuss much of anything. And I like that because what came out of it was organic. It's not planned, preconceived. It's not commercialized. We're not trying to think, what should we write for the greatest amount of sales, or what's trending now. We didn't do that at all. What we ended up with kind of came out the opposite. It's more, people said it sounds more like classic rock, like a new version of classic rock. We never had that in mind at all. We just played. And so I like that, though, because I don't like the scheming businessman approach to music. What's trending now, so let's do that. A lot of times when the record business was briefly the record industry, and now it's back to being the record business again. When it was the industry, you had all kinds of people there telling you which way to go and what's going to work. And the marketing department can't deal with this if you put a different style song on your record, because we're trying to sell to this demographic and this will alienate them. So you got to get rid of that song. And believe me, those conversations took place. It's crazy. And so back in the early days, no one ever did that. Just put out the record. Here it is. That's what it was, all the Zeppelin records. Nobody from the record companies didn't tell them what to do. I don't think the Beatles, no one was in there telling them which direction they should go. All that was organic, and I'm not putting ourselves, of course, on anywhere near the same level as that, but the idea still holds true. Want to do the thing that you do, that you believe in, that you love, and that comes out of you naturally. And that should be your art, as opposed to some preformed, fitted, conceptualized marketing manager's scheme on how to sell a lot of records. So we did it that way, and that's the way we will continue to do it. And I'm just supremely grateful that people have seen eye to eye with us and have taken to these records and come to these live shows. We're supremely grateful for that.
Well, it sounds like the chemistry that the three of you had was pretty instantaneous. And what I hear, in addition to the music, is I hear three musicians having a hell of a lot of fun with what they're doing. That's, the vibe that comes across to me.
That's an important thing. You got to love what you do, and I love to play live. I enjoy writing. I enjoy the writing process. Playing live is my number one pursuit, though. But when we're together, we can hang, and it's a very important thing with a band. Three guys got to be able to hang out because we're in the same dressing room, we're on the same flight, we're at the same hotel, we're traveling together nonstop all the time. So you've got to enjoy what's going on around you, and we generally have a great time. And it's we all have our own distinct personalities. We all kind of know each other really well at this point after playing so much together. And so when we get on stage, that's the moment, that the culmination of the whole day. Being on stage is where it's at for us. So we get up there. We really, it's a great relief to be up there and perform.
Richie's brought the keyboards in on the new album.
Yeah, I love it. I love when Richie goes down to the keyboards on the song "Think It Over." We do that live, and reminds me kind of the old Allman Brothers almost, or Doobie Brothers type of a song from way back when. And people get off on it. It's a riot to play. I love that Richie utilizes his keyboard skills. It's a great addition to the band, a sonic fingerprint of the band. So that's all good.
It's one of my favorite songs on the album.
Some songs I can't even listen to some songs around other people because they're going to bring tears to my eyes. You know, they just mean so much to me. So to be a part of any kind of music or band that affects people, it's a gift. Just
from a more amusing point of view, I was watching some behind-the-scenes footage of your Revolver magazine shoot where the three of you were standing there and someone was behind you with a cigarette, wafting it in the air to create the smoke effect. And I was just wondering, from your point of view, what's the oddest thing that you've had to do during a video shoot or a photo shoot?
Well, there was a couple, as you know, occasionally there are young ladies in some of the videos, and occasionally they're in the various stages of undress, if you will, to be
never,
to be
not in rock and roll.
And I always make it a point to not look because I'm trying to be a gentleman. It's not always easy, but we had, I think on the Green Tinted 60s Mind video, they had the girls painted. They were all naked, but they were painted, so you didn't know. So we snuck it by the MTV censors. All the girls in the video they had nothing on, and I was going to volunteer to help paint, but I said I better not. I think I should stay out of it. But that was kind of a little funny. And plus, one of the girls I knew pretty well. She was a friend of mine. She was also an actress and model in LA too. So we were laughing about it later. But yeah, sometimes things like that happen. But one thing I always try to point out especially when there's video involved, is that I'm not an actor. Whenever they get, okay, walk down the hallway and then look left, I go, I know this is going to look terrible. Because you think something as simple as walk down the hallway and look left. Who couldn't do that? Me, because I'm not an actor. So, and it's really funny. I always look stiff and acting is a profession in itself, a craft in itself. I always try to avoid scenes where any acting is required of me because I'm not a good actor.
Well, we've all seen the viral video of the Hello Kitty drum kit, which is hilarious. And I wondered if you and Richie had any plans to try and top that with your own, I don't know, Fisher-Price guitar or something along those lines.
Well, I don't know. The viral, when something goes viral, it usually does so by a whole set of circumstances it's hard to put those circumstances together knowingly. It's kind of surprise something. I'll probably slip on stage some night or fall off into the crowd or
don't say that.
Some accident would befall me, and then that'll be my viral video. I'm not looking to get hurt, but I'm sure some. The other day they were throwing beach balls around it. Well, I think we played a club in Florida, and one hit right on my bass, and it was no big thing, but the whole audience was waiting for my response. All I did was laugh it off, and they thought I would get angry or something. It'd be pretty tough to get angry when you're on stage and enjoying yourself, but it was just funny,
Speaking of Florida, when you were in Orlando, you did a meet and greet at a place called Park Avenue CDs in Orlando, it was my record store when I was growing up. It's my favorite record store to this day. And it's actually where I found out about the Winery Dogs. I was going through their shelves, came across the CD that they had in one of their feature racks. And I thought, oh, who's this? And, had a look, took it away. And that is where my love for the Winery Dogs started, was at that record store that you were at. Is that something
Great.
you've been able to do throughout the tour? Record signing
it's really
opportunities?
It's really tough because there's just no time. We pulled in here. I'm going to go in, start setting up my stuff so I can start warming up. By the time the gear's ready to go for line check, I go up there, I do some tweaks and repairs or changes. At sound check, we're done. Opening act is setting up. We're maybe going to have time to eat something, maybe not. Usually I don't have time to eat at all. Then we're on stage. For me personally, on a day off maybe, but days off are so few and far between, it's just really tough. And we got to sing every night a lot. So when you start getting tired, you get open to getting sick, and then you can't sing, and then you can't do a show. So I try to avoid them as much as I can. Though after show, I'm always out. Afterwards, out by the bus, signing stuff, taking photos, and all that thing. And a lot of the meet and greets that they have in the club, they charge money for them, which we're very much opposed to. Because I do all that for free, so charging for that just doesn't sit well with me. I come out afterwards. Somebody's got bass to sign, CD covers, 6 inches thick of CD covers for me to sign. I'm glad to do it. No problem. But before show, it's tight, and my whole focus before show is to do the best show I can do everything I need to do to set it up to do a great show. So doing anything before we play, that's why even friends of mine come out to the show. Hey, can I see you before the show? And no, not really. I'm busy. I'll see you afterwards. No problem. Before the show, I got, there's anywhere from 300, 400, 500 to 1,000 to 5,000 or 10,000 people I got to perform for. So I got to really make sure it's right for them.
I think your fans
after show anything, but before show I'm not crazy about it.
Now your tour in the U.S. is wrapping up at the end of this week, and then you have some downtime from the Winery Dogs before you start the European leg. What is downtime like for Billy Sheehan? What do you like to do when you've got time to yourself?
Well, I'll be working on my iTunes collection. I've got a new app that helps find the album cover art. I went through alphabetically. I'm up to the letter J, and I've been working on it for about 4 weeks. That doesn't include my compilations folder, which is almost as big as the entire rest of the folder. So I'm hoping by Christmas I get done with everything except for the compilations folder, and then I'll go after that on the new year. I get all the artwork to every album in my iTunes collection, which is a lot of work.
Your European tour dates are on sale now. The last tour you were here, I saw you at a place called the Slade Rooms in Wolverhampton, which is a great venue, but there's not a lot of ventilation in it. It has a very low ceiling. The room was packed. You guys must have sweated your behinds off. But it was a great show. I just wondered what's the sort of, and you don't have to name names, but what's the worst venue that you've ever played at for whatever reason?
Oh boy, well, there's a lot of difficult gigs because a lot of times gigs don't have a dressing room, and there's no bathroom, and there's no nothing. So there's the stage and a hallway and the parking lot. And so we have to use fortunately we have our tour bus, which helps us because we got like somebody's house on the tour bus. It's great. We can get dressed here, hang out here, there's a bathroom here, there's all the comforts of home. That's nice. But it's a little crowded, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. But I remember doing, I'm not much for remembering the names of places I've played. Mike is an expert at that. He knows like the name of every place we played. I rely on him for that because I don't remember. But for me, I don't really care much about anything other than the fact that the crowd is there and pumped up and enjoying it. So we've played microscopic little places. Like we played in, a couple nights ago, we played in some place. The crew was a little down and this place sucks and it's horrible and so forth. I said, some kid came up to me, walked into the place while they were still setting up and said, man, I just drove 10 hours. Me and 3 of my friends had come here tonight. I go, no kidding. Here, let me sign that for you. And I took a picture with him and stuff like that. So I said to the guy, hey, I don't care what anybody thinks. Already there's 4 people out here that drove 10 hours. So that's the only one I know about. There's probably other people that have done the same. People flown in from all over the world for our show. So we got up on stage and just pushed it as hard as we ever did anywhere. And it was just a great night. And I remember years ago playing a little club when I was in the band Palace in Buffalo. Some little club on the East Coast that was built on Rhode Island or something was built out over the water on a pier. Big giant place, pretty much empty. There was one table of people, like about 5 or 6 guys. And we went on, we did our whole show. Got done. That was it. We went off. I must have run into each one of those guys throughout the years. Because I'm walking down Sunset Boulevard years later and said, hey, man, I was in this club and you played and it was only me and my friends there. You played. I go, it's Rhode Island. He goes, yeah, it was. And I ran into another guy a few years later, another guy. But they went around and told everybody that they knew that they went and saw this band, blew them away. They loved it, had a great night, and we performed for them like it was a sold-out arena. So that it goes a long way, So
that's fantastic.
The conditions may not be great, but and sometimes sound-wise it's really tough because we can't hear a thing on stage. And the PAs are just dreadful, but just damn the torpedoes full speed ahead, and we eventually get to a lot of goodwill comes from it.
Yeah, that really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Is there any discussion on what's next for the Winery Dogs? No sooner do you announce the European leg than everybody's saying, when are you coming to Australia? When are you coming to South America? When are you coming here?
Yes, since this band started, we have been trying to get a promoter in Australia to take dates. and they just will not do it. They just don't believe in the band, or they don't believe we will sell tickets, and they don't believe it's worth their while or their money. So we've tried everything we can, convincing, cajoling, threatening, extorting, everything possible. And the sad part of it is the fans get online and they blame us. They blame us. Why won't you play Australia? Why don't you like Australia? Why do you hate Australia? We've been trying. I remember that was one of the first things we talked about in one of our first meetings. We got to make sure and hit Australia. I've been dying to get down there for years. It's bound to be perfect. Unfortunately, people get online and just blame us and blame me personally. One guy, boo, Billy Sheehan, you won't play Australia.
Oh, really?
I wrote him back. I got nothing to do with it. We've done everything we can to get an Australian date, and we don't choose where we play. No band chooses where they play. Dates go on sale, promoters buy them, and we show up. We have no control over it. So it's upsetting to see, particularly Australian. They've been particularly confrontational about it. When in fact, we have been trying since our first band meeting. Australia came up. We're going to make sure to try and do what we can to get to Australia. And our management hitting and our agent's been hitting, nothing. And then they blame us. So it's
well,
hopefully, to say the least.
Hopefully this will help clarify that for those fans, and who knows, maybe even convince some promoters, that they're doing the wrong thing. So we'll
who knows?
Keep our ears out.
Who knows? All we can do is we have South America, Central America, Mexico penciled in. We have more of the EU, UK after this run that's already been announced. More USA after this run. Festivals in USA, festivals in Europe and UK. Southeast Asia and Japan. It's a big world. We're already booked well into next October. What those dates end up being, we'll find out when the promoters purchase dates and invite us into the country. Also, we can't go into a country without tax documents, immigration forms, customs stuff for our gear, work permits.
It's a very complicated process, isn't it?
Playing in Mexico, I did a show in Mexico with all the immigration situation between the U.S. and Mexico, where the general opinion is anybody should be able to go into any country and do anything. It was about a 3/4 of an inch thick stack of papers for me to do a weekend in Mexico with my band Niacin. And it was a process that took about 3 months.
It is an insanely crazy process that I think most people don't realize, but I think it's important for your fans to understand that it's not you guys behind that. And the fact that you are, already, you got plans through October, you said, is a tremendous credit to not just the album Hot Streak, but the band as a whole and how well it's been received. Can't congratulate you enough. It's been absolutely amazing. I'll be seeing you in England when you come, which I can't wait.
Oh, I can't wait.
If you do a second tour, then fantastic. I'll be there as well. And any other dates that I can pick up on the way. Congratulations.
I can't wait to get a couple of good
Streak.
curries in England too.
Oh gosh, they're famous for them, aren't they? Can't beat a good curry. The hotter, the better.
No kidding. Yeah, some of my favorite memories. I think one of the first Mr. Big tours, we were driving all through England. It was watching the countryside go by, city to city as we were playing, and just incredible, just beautiful. And I've done a bunch of clinics over there where I've driven around. My wife and I stayed with the people that run Roto Sound at their house, little quaint little house, about 700-year-old little house, and they had a bunch of cats and just a typical rural countryside British home. Was one of the greatest things that ever happened to us. It was so cool.
I love it. I think it's a fabulous place. Again, I have to congratulate you on Hot Streak. I loved your debut album. I love Hot Streak as much and then some. Your U.S. tour ends, as I said, November 8th in San Diego. Your UK European tour starts in the end of January. So we're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to more dates as you announce them. Congratulations again, Billy. Fantastic work. Congratulations to you all. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy your downtime with your iTunes library. And we'll catch up with you again soon. You've been listening to Billy Sheehan of the Winery Dogs. This is Maggie at Full Metal Rock.